Hey guys, welcome to the next video on Node.js tutorial for beginners. And in this video, we will talk about templating engines. So far what we have learned is how we can pass these kind of parameters to the client using Express.js. So before starting templating engines, I wanted to show you how we can transfer or show the HTML file on the browser using Express.js. So let's get started with that, and then we will start with the templating engines. So I have these two files, about.html and HTML or index.html, right? So these two HTML files I have. So what I'm going to do is, in the route, what I want to do is I want to send the index.html file, right? So the way you do it is you take this reply argument and then call a method called send file. Okay, so just call a method called send file and then the name of the file which you want to send. So because we are in the current directory, so I'm going to take the dir name plus the file name. So the file name I want to send is index.html, right? In the same way, you can just send the contact.html or about.html, which we have here, right? So here I want to send about.html, and I'm going to save my code, and my nodemon is already running, so I don't need to rerun it once again. And I'm going to open my browser and I'm going to refresh this, and it says this doesn't exist. Yeah, I forgot to give the / here, so I just need to give / and once again I will save and I will refresh the page once again, and now it says home page. And let's call the about page also, so just write about and it says about page. So this is how you can send any file to the browser using the send file method, right? Now this is how you can send the static files, but for example you want to send some parameters with the HTML file, or you want to inject some parameter in your HTML file, then what will you do? So for that we use the templating engines, and there are many engines which you can use with Express.js. For example, Jade or Jazz or some other engines like underscore or Toffee. But what we are going to use is the templating engine called EJS or embedded.js. So let's get started with EJS. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to open the website on which we can find more documentation on EJS or embedded.js. So just open this website, which is called embeddedjs.com, whose short form is EJS, right? And when you will scroll down, you will see how you can use this EJS with your HTML and how you can embed the parameters in your HTML text or file, right? So for that, first of all, we need to add a package EJS in our project. So EJS is a node package, so I'm going to first of all install EJS package using npm. So let me clear the terminal and I will just write npm install, and I will just give the flag save also, so it will be added to our package.json file also, and then just write EJS, okay, and then press enter, which is going to add this package to our project. And once it's done, you will be able to see this EJS is added to your package.json, and you will also see EJS is added to your node modules also, right? So I'm going to just close this and close the HTML files. And now the way you add this EJS or to use this EJS, we need to add the view engine property, or you need to set the view engine property to your Express app. So you take this app variable and then call a method called set, and then we will set a property which is called view engine. So just give single quote and just write view engine, and the next property is the name of the engine. So in this case we are using EJS, right? So the property name is view engine and the value is EJS. Okay, now we can use EJS in our project. Now by default, when Express sees that the view engine is EJS, it looks in the directory called view. Okay, by default it's going to look in a directory called view for the EJS files. So we are going to make a directory called view. So just create a directory and name it as view, and inside this directory all our EJS files will go, right? So what we want is, for example, in the last video we have created this route for students, and whenever some ID is passed for the student, then his name is returned to the, for example, client or to the browser, right? So we are going to take the same route, but this time what we are going to do is we are going to transfer this data to the HTML file and inject in this parameter to the HTML file and then present it to the client, for example. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just create a new file inside my view folder. So this is my view folder, and I'm going to create a student file because this is a students route. So I'm going to create a students.ejs file. Okay, so it's not going to be a HTML file, but it's going to be a EJS file, right? But the content which you will give inside this EJS file will be the same as your normal HTML file have. So for example, I'm going to just copy this code from my index.html, which doesn't have much. It just have the body of HTML page and the main h1 tag, right? So I'm just going to copy, and then in the student.ejs file I'm going to just paste this code, right? Now the way EJS work is we need to go to index.js, and instead of using this kind of code, reply or rep.send, instead of this, what we are going to do is we are going to just write rep.render. Okay, so here we are going to use rep.render, and then it takes two parameters. So the first parameter here will be the name of your view file. So in this case our view file name is students, right? You can see here students.ejs. So we can just pass the view file name, which is student, and the extension you don't need to give it here. Okay, just the name of the file. And the second parameter it takes is the object. Now this object is a key value pair. So the first is the key. For example, we want to send the student name, so I'm going to just name the key as name itself because it's a student name, right? And the value for it is the value which we have here. So in the last video we had this kind of small object, and this has the key value pair. So for example, we requested student1, then it's going to give us the result by returning its name, student's name, right? So this is how you can get the student name by ID. So I'm going to pass it here. Okay, and then we don't need this thing here because we are already sending our parameter using this render method and to the student file. Now the way you add this name parameter to your EJS file is, so I'm going to go to h1 tag here, and if you have seen inside in the embedded js.com, you do it something like this. So you take this angle bracket, start your angle bracket, then this mod sign, then equals, and then the parameter name, and then end with mod, and then closing angle bracket. So I can just copy this from here, and I will do the same here. So in your h1 tag or any tag, for example, it's a paragraph tag, or it's any other h2 tag or other tags, you can do the same. So just use a tag, and inside your tag just start angle bracket mod equals, and then the parameter name. So our parameter name is name itself, right? So we want to parse in our EJS file this parameter name, right? So that's why I have written name here. Okay, and then I'm going to just save everything, and I'm going to rerun my app. So I'm going to just use nodemon.index.js, and then I'm going to go to my browser, and in here I'm going to ask for the students file, because here we have the students.ejs, right? And we will give the student route here, and then the ID of the student. So ID of the student, for example, I want to give 1 here, right? And then press enter. It gives me some errors, which I'm going to see what the error is. So the error which I can see here is, it says failed to look up view students in views directory, and I name my directory as view, not views. So this is the error you will see if you do anything wrong, and by the message it looks like my directory name view is wrong. We need to name it as views. Okay, so my directory name views must be, I'm going to rename it as views instead of view. Okay, and then I'm going to refresh my page once again, and hopefully this time I can see this message Mark, because student ID 1 is for Mark, right? So we can just edit our student.ejs file. For example, you have requested the student name, and then you give the student name. And for example, I want to add the ID also. I want to show the ID on my student HTML file also. So I will just add the parameter tag here, and I will say ID, and then the colon, and then I will use the same method like this here, and here I will just rename it as ID, and I need to pass this ID parameter from here, right? So let's go to the index.js file, and then here in the second element in the JSON you can just add ID, and then just pass this ID there. So the ID will be request.params.id, right? So just give colon here and then pass your ID here. Okay, so first element of the JSON or object is name, and second element of the JSON object is ID, right? In the same way you can add multiple object in your second parameters, right? So just save your code and then rerun it once again. So I'm going to just ask for the student one once again, and now it says you have requested the student name Mark and the ID is 1. For example, I will just add 2 here and press enter. This time I have Tom, and then the ID is 2, and once again, for example, for 3, then the John name and the ID is 3 here. Okay, so this is just the starting for the templating engine. In the future videos we will see some more concepts on EJS, so stay tuned and please rate, comment, subscribe, and bye for now.